I think it's very appropriate that we should launch this important maritime safety initiative, targeted at the fishing sector here in Union Hall. The tragic events back in January of 2012 left a huge impact on the nation as a whole and reminded us of the dangers of life at sea. Unfortunately, the recent events in Waterford in Passage East have once again brought this back to the country's attention. Let me say at the outset that both I personally and all of us in government are committed to achieving the highest possible safety standards in the maritime community in general. Alongside my colleague, Minister Coveney, I'm fully committed to the delivery of these safety measures being launched today. These measures will help enhance safety and help promote a culture of safety first within the industry. Before I get into the details of today's announcement, I really want to thank the maritime safety officials of my department, including the MSO and the Irish Coast Guard, who've worked very closely with An Bord Iascaigh and the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine in developing this package of measures over the last few months. It's widely accepted that a key aid to safety and recovery on the water is the life jacket. It's important to emphasise that there are very different attributes to different types of life jackets, personal flotation devices and buoyancy aids, and their suitability depends on the area of operation and the level of risk. Last August, my department published Marine Notice 45 of 2012. This Marine Notice sets out the detailed information and guidance on the selection, use and performance standards of life jackets. As mentioned, the importance of life jackets and their appropriate use cannot be overstated. Therefore, my department is preparing a new Marine Notice in relation to the specific use of life jackets for the fishing industry. This comes as a response to the recommendations of the Marine Casualty Investigation Board, the MCIB reports on fatal incidents at sea. This notice, alongside BIM safety training, will reinforce the importance of life jacket use. Today's launch, as has been mentioned, involves a number of significant safety improvements. There's the increased usage of float-free, automatically activated EPIRBs, personal locator beacons for individual crew members, and also autopilot alarms. First, we're aiding the use of float-free, automatically activated EPIRBs for the fishing fleet. This will provide for new units, or also the retrofit or replacement of old manually operated EPIRBs. The EPIRB is the main locator beacon for any fishing vessel in distress, and these incentives will provide a significant enhancement to vessel and crew safety in terms of alert and location to improve chances of rescue and survival. Grant aid will undoubtedly encourage a high level of uptake of this safety enhancement, and implementation will be monitored through the MSO's survey regime. It's also my intention that the use of float-free automatic EPIRBs will be made mandatory by incorporating it in my department's revised fishing vessel code of practice, to which vessels must comply under sea fisheries legislation. Secondly, in relation to personal locator beacons, I believe their increased usage will be a very significant safety enhancement. However, I must stress that they should never be considered to be an alternative to or a replacement for existing statutory measures such as life jackets. It's crucially important that I should make that point and that it's understood by everyone here today. While grant aid will incentivise the deployment of PLBs, it's also my intention that a mandatory requirement for their provision on smaller vessels of less than 15 metres will be incorporated into the revised fishing vessel code of practice. Finally, I also want to support in principle the mandatory requirements for autopilot alarm systems. However, this issue does require some further thought, and the provision of grant aid in the first instance will provide for voluntary uptake, at least initially. While the measures announced today are important, they only represent a small part of a wider maritime safety agenda. This safety agenda is not just limited to the fishing sector, but will encompass maritime shipping as well, and of course recreational activity on our seas.